Did you know there are dollars hiding in your Google Analytics 4 data? Hi, I'm Jessie, the founder of Jessie on a Journey and Travel Blog Prosperity. As a blogger myself, I know how confusing your GA4 dashboard can be. Sometimes it feels like you're trying to decode a secret language. But for those who take the time to really dig in and understand their data, it offers powerful and strategic insights on how to grow your blog's traffic, email list, and income. Now, to help make understanding Google Analytics 4 more approachable, even if you're a complete beginner, I've brought on longtime blogger and certified analytics pro, Sherry Smotherman-Short of Painless Blog Analytics. She's completed multiple courses through the Google Analytics Academy and specializes in helping creators use their data to make smart, profitable decisions for their blog. And today, she'll be helping you do the same. Now, just two quick notes before we get started. If you like this idea of mini workshops, make sure to subscribe, as I've got other guest experts as well as my own trainings lined up. Also, I've created a free Google Analytics 4 cheat sheet to pair with this workshop. It's included in my free travel blogger resource library, linked in the video description or via the QR code on your screen. It includes 75 plus resources, all meant to help you grow your traffic, community, and income. And just a heads up, the resource library is completely free to access, but it does include Sherry's affiliate link, which means if you happen to make a purchase in my shop in the next 30 days, she may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. So feel free to even pause this video to go grab those resources. You back? Then let's dive in.
Here, I'm Sherry Smotherman-Short from Painless Blog Analytics, and today I want to talk to you about the dollars in your data, how to use your Google Analytics information to actually make more money from your blog. Now, if you're like most bloggers, when you hear the words Google Analytics 4 or GA4, you tend to panic a bit because it's not like Universal Analytics and things are a little bit harder to find in this version. Most of the suggestions that I'm going to share with you have to do with getting more traffic to your site. But if you think about it, regardless of how you monetize your site, whether you use ad or affiliate income or sponsored work or your own products, the more traffic you get, the more money you're going to make. One thing to know about Google Analytics is that it wasn't built just for bloggers. It was built for any kind of website, including e-commerce sites. So that's part of why it's a little confusing. I think there's something like 200 metrics and dimensions in Google Analytics, but for bloggers, we're only using about 25 or 30 of those. So you can see there's a lot of data that's collected here that doesn't really apply to us. This is an art, not necessarily a science. Yes, we're going to be looking at the numbers, which are hard data, and that has to do with kind of the science side of things. But you really need to know your niche and your audience to be able to take what you know about that and combine it with those numbers to come up with the actions that you need to take for your blog. What I'm showing you here is my Google Analytics account from Cub Scout Ideas blog. Let's jump over here, and the first thing we're going to see is there's 4 options here. We're on home right now, but we're going to go to reports. And I'm going to close all these because I want to show you this. Now, the way Analytics does the reports on your page here is that these big topics are called collections. So this is a collection of reports that we're calling blogging reports. This is something that I've created for myself. But then we have business objectives, life cycle, search console. You may or may not have these particular ones here. You won't have this blogging reports, but some of you may only have business objectives. Some of you may only have life cycle. That depends on when you actually installed Google Analytics 4 on your site. Again, these are your collections. Now, if you open these up, you're going to see topics under here. So under business objectives, we've got generate leads, drive sales, understand web traffic, view user engagement and retention. So these are topics. Then within each topic, when you open those up, you're going to see the reports that fall under that topic. Now, some of these reports are going to be in more than one place. For example, the pages and screen report, and see in both the view user engagement and retention topic and the understand the web or app traffic topic. And it's the same report. And if you make a change to one of these, it tells you it's going to save it to all of the topics or collections that it's in. We're going to be looking at our pages and screens report pretty much for this whole time that we're here together. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to minimize the menu over here just so we have a little bit more room on our screens here. The first thing that we're going to look for in this Pages and Screens report is ideas for complementary or companion blog posts that we can write. So we're going to come up with ideas for new blog post topics. Right now, I'm only seeing 10 rows. I'm going to go ahead and make that see 100. And I do have this set to the last 12 months, but you can change that here. And you can also do a comparison if you'd like. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to cancel that out. And again, I'm just looking at the last 12 months. As you go down through here, I want you to think about the topic of the blog post and what you think the search intent is. Why did somebody look for this particular blog post and hop over to read it? And I'm going to give you an example. This first one here is my Cub Scout uniform patch placement. I wrote it years ago, and it's been my top blog post ever since I wrote it. And if I think about why is somebody on this blog post, well, they're on there most likely because their kiddos have earned some Cub Scout badges, and they're not quite sure where to put them on the uniform. So that's why they would go to this blog post. Okay, let's think about that. They need to know where to put the badges, and once they found out because they've read my blog post, what is their next step? What is the next problem that they're going to have after they now know where these need to go? Most likely, they need to know how to sew the patches on easily and quickly. And I can tell you that because when my boys were in Cub Scouting, typically they would come running in the living room about an hour before we were supposed to leave to go to our meeting and say, Mom, you forgot to sew these patches on. So I wrote this blog post, how to sew on the patches easily. And you can see it's my number 10 blog post over the last year. So again, thinking about what happens here and what the next step would be, that's how I came up with the idea of writing this blog post. Now, let's take a look at this one, the new Cub Scout pack meeting plans. If somebody's looking for plans, then they're probably getting ready to plan their meeting, and they're trying to figure out what they need to do. So I created a pack meeting planner, which was a printable that they could have. I created it as an opt-in and wrote a blog post about it, and that has been a really popular post for me as well. As you go down through here, just stop and think, why are they looking at this? What's the problem that I'm solving with this blog post, and how can I help them continue to solve that problem or solve the problem that they'll run into next? So that's our first way that we can drive more traffic to our blog posts. We're going to stay on this page. And the second thing that we're going to look at is blog post types. And again, just scroll down through here and think about things like, is this a list? Is this a how-to? Is this an activity? What kind of post is this? And I'm just going to look down through here and, okay, I've got my 10 knot tying games, 7 ceremonies, 10 ceremonies of a different type, 25 jokes. Let's see. 6 essentials, 50 themes. So you can see that these lists are pretty popular on my blog. So I probably need to write a few more of those. So again, think about the type of blog post that it is. Let's take a few more examples. How to make armpit fudge. It's how to, but it's really an activity for the Cub Scouts. Armpit fudge, I know it sounds gross. It's basically where the kids are making fudge in a bag. Making Cub Scout robots is an activity. A dinosaur dig is an activity. Kids fingerprint activity. Handmade hiking sticks, that's an activity. First aid kits, that's an activity. So again, some sort of activity does really well as a blog post on my site. So I'm going to write more of those activity types of posts. Next, we're going to dig in a little bit to our sources of traffic. Where is our traffic coming from? The way we're going to do that is use the same report. We're going to click the plus sign, which adds a secondary dimension, and we're going to search for session source medium, and that's what we're going to add. Now, I will tell you that there are a couple of different source medium metrics in Google Analytics 4. The session source medium looks at the source and the medium of all the traffic that's coming to our site. Second type of source medium is called first user source medium. And that's just like it sounds. It is telling us the source medium of the people that are coming to our blog post for the very first time. And so it's a little different. There's one other source medium that you probably won't ever use, and it is just called source medium. There's no session or first user at the beginning of it. It's just source medium. That metric is for when certain situations happen on your blog. Most of the time, that is used by e-commerce sites because they can track where the people came from that made a purchase. So if I buy something on a website, they want to know, where did our buyers come from? But again, you're probably not going to use that. Personally, I use session source medium 99% of the time, but there may be some situations when you do want to look at first user source medium just to figure out, what do you need to work on that is bringing you traffic. If you find out that most of your first-time visitors are coming from Pinterest, you might want to put a little bit more effort into that. If you find out it's coming from Facebook, again, more effort there. So again, you may have a reason to look at that, but personally, I tend to look at just the session source medium. After we get this in here, we're going to dig a little deeper. If you look, you can see the vast majority of my traffic comes from Google, but I want to find out if there's some opportunities that I need to take advantage of. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to drill down into a blog post. And I would do this with your top 10 blog posts just to see. What we're going to do is drill down into this particular post. I'm actually going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it in my search bar, and I'm going to hit enter. And now you can see all of my traffic sources here for this blog post, not for all the rest of them, but just for these. What I can see here is that I am getting 65% of my traffic to this blog post from Google. I'm getting a little bit from email, but it's 5.5%. I should probably put this in the footer of all of my emails because I think this is a blog post that people are going to be looking for on a regular basis. Now, look at this. Pinterest, and of course, we've got a couple different versions of Pinterest. I really need to up my Pinterest game. That might be working on making new kinds of pins. It may be pinning it more regularly. It may be writing a new description for it. There's any number of things that I can do to get more traffic from Pinterest to this particular blog post. Now, when you're looking at these, one thing you want to keep in mind is seasonality. So I'm recording this at the beginning of May. And what I know is that the Cub Scouting year is almost over. So my traffic's going to drop down a little bit and not pick back up until starting in August, September, October. Those are my biggest months. Because this is somewhat seasonal and it's May, I don't really need to do anything right now for this blog post. So instead of working on it now, I'm going to put it on my calendar for maybe July to start making some more pins, to add it to the signature line of my email. And if I were you, I would jot these down so that you will remember what it is that you wanted to do on it, and so that you don't have to go back in and go, now, wait a minute, what was I going to do with this? Now, again, you're going to want to do this with all of your blog posts. Okay, so I'm going to take off our source medium. And the last thing that we want to look at is we want to look at our engagement rate. Now, engagement rate is a new metric that is in Google Analytics 4, and one of three things has to happen for a session to be considered engaged. Number one, somebody needs to be on your site 10 seconds or longer, or they need to visit 2 or more pages, or they need to have some sort of conversion event on the page. Now, most of us don't have conversion events set up, and that's fine because we don't need it. If I look at my metrics over here, and I've got a bunch of things on here, but I don't have engagement rate. I have engagement time, but not engagement rate. So I'm going to add that. And here's how we edit reports. I'm going to click on this pencil right here. It says Customize Report. Engagement rate is a metric, so I'm going to click Metrics. And then I'm going to go down here to the bottom, and I'm going to start typing engagement rate. I'm going to click that. And then I'm actually going to move this up to be number 1, but I'm not going to click on it to make it sort automatically. I still want to sort by views, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So I'm going to click Apply, and we're going to save this, and we're just going to save it to the current report. And then I'm going to click back. The reason we don't want to sort it by engagement rate is if we sort it in descending order, you're probably going to see a lot of 100% on one page view, and that doesn't give you any kind of data. So we still want to look at what the engagement rate is in our blog posts in descending order by number of page views. What we want to do is literally just scroll down through here and look. The first thing we're going to look for are our high engagement rate blog posts. Now, you can see I've got this one that is 77%. This is actually a tag page, so I've got some verbiage at the top, and then it's a list of posts after that. So that's not a blog post per se, it's a page. So I'm going to skip that one. Now, this 55% is, we want to take note of that one. Let's see. So on Pages Easily, we want to take note of that one. And let's see, 65%, we'll take note of that one. Now, let's go back and let's look for our lower engaged blog posts. So this patch placement is a little bit low. My recycled rain gutter regatta boats is low. Let's see, our skits are low. So you can see we can just go down through here and pick out some that are low. Then what I want you to do is start comparing them. I would open up one that is a highly engaged post, like my knot tying one, and then I would open up a lower engaged one, like the recycled rain gutter regatta boats. So when you have them open up in two tabs, you can go back and forth looking at them. The first thing that you want to look for is just compare what's at the top of each of those pages. So for example, does one of them have an image first and then starting the text, while the other one has text first, then an image, then more text? Let's say the more highly engaged one is the one that just has the image first and then text afterwards. So you might want to try that on the one that has lower engagement. Is the first paragraph of one of them much more compelling than the other? In one of them, are you setting things up, doing a little foreshadowing about what they can read in the rest of the blog post? So look at things like that. Another thing that you want to look at is, are there any links in that first screen of the blog post? Are they internal links or external links? Internal links are great. External links, not so great, because if they click on an external link, they're leaving your site. And so you know you're not going to get that engaged session then if they've left the site. By increasing your engagement rate, you can also increase your money. If they're staying on the page longer, or they're visiting more than one page, more opportunities for ad income, more opportunities to sell your own products, more opportunities to sell affiliate products. So that's just a good way to make more money on your site. So let's summarize. We've talked about looking at your pages and screens report to get some ideas of new blog posts that you could write that are complementary to or companion to the posts you already have that are doing well. We've talked about looking at the types of posts that you have and deciding, hey, we need to do more of this kind of blog post, or we need to do more of that kind of blog post. We've talked about adding the secondary dimension of session source medium and digging into our individual blog posts to see, are you getting a lot of traffic from one source and not so much from another, so that you'll know which area that you need to work on for that post. And we've talked about looking at engagement rate and figuring out what we can do to increase the engagement rate on some posts so that people will stay on your blog a little bit longer. I hope this has helped. Thank you so much for watching.
All right, now I hope you enjoyed this workshop. I hope you feel inspired and empowered to strategically use GA4 to grow your blog's traffic, email list, and income. Don't forget to grab access to the free Travel Blogger resource library linked in the video description or via the QR code on your screen. There are a ton of resources in there on growing your community and increasing your blogging profits, including a Google Analytics 4 cheat sheet to pair with this video. And of course, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos sharing these strategies for bloggers who want to turn their blogs into profitable full-time businesses. Happy blogging!